pregame headquarters as Lisa Salters gets us ready. There we go for the Commanders and Eagles from Philly. Lisa, look, I'm not saying the Eagles have coasted to 8-0, right? But they haven't trailed yet in the second half of this season. How are these guys characterizing their success so far?
Yeah, that's crazy, right, Laura? It's the best start in franchise history. It's all the Philly media is talking about. And yet when you ask players and coaches what they're saying to each other about being 8-0, they all say the same thing. Nothing. Jalen Hurts pointed out that he was part of an 8-0 Alabama team that did not win a national championship. So Hurts said, we haven't accomplished anything yet. I asked A.J. Brown if 8-0 was something that he ever envisioned with his new team. And he said, realistically, no. Nobody thinks about being undefeated. But he said this group does talk about going out and dominating each week. So their mindset has been to not look too far ahead, to not look ahead at all, in fact, but rather to just focus on the game in front of them. Nick Sirianni said he knows that sounds cliche, but it's the message that they're preaching in the locker room. He admitted, though, that it is impossible not to feel the energy in this city right now after the baseball Phillies and the Philadelphia Union soccer team both almost won championships recently. But Sirianni said while fans can afford to ride that wave of excitement and emotion like the cheerleaders here, Sirianni said the Eagles cannot. He said the only thing that's important about being 8-0 is the chance tonight to go 9-0.
And by the way, you know, those cheerleaders might have tried to rattle Lisa, but you just can't do it. She's a pro's pro. They tried. It didn't work.
I was ready for him.
Yeah,
I was ready for him.
No, bring it on, y'all. Yeah, she's just going to keep on going. Never flinch. Lisa Salters, we'll see you on Monday Night Football in about 3 hours and 40 minutes. How about Tampa Bay? The Buccaneers showing the fighting spirit with a win over the Seahawks in Germany. You guys, Tom Brady said Sunday's rowdy crowd at Allianz Arena was one of the greatest football experiences he's ever had. Brady threw a couple touchdown passes to Julio Jones, Chris Godwin on the way to the win, and it's a victory over the Seahawks, right? A team that's been impressive this season. So, Mina, we see the comeback win a couple weeks ago, then this performance on Sunday morning. What's changed for this Bucs offense?
Well, Brady looked comfortable, except for when he was playing wide receiver. He did not look comfortable in that moment. But outside of that, this is by far the least rattled he's been all year. You know, something we've talked about a lot is how Brady really outside of quick game hasn't been succeeding. In fact, on passes where he holds the ball for more than 2.5 seconds. Before this game, he was worse than Russell Wilson, Davis Mills, Carson Wentz in terms of QBR. In this game, when he held onto the football, he completed 80% of his passes with a QBR of 97. And there's a few reasons for that. One, as you see there, well, actually, you kind of saw it all there. There's a bunch of things. I thought the Bucs offensive line looked better, particularly on the interior. The Seahawks pass rush was frankly lacking. But perhaps just as importantly, or maybe most importantly, they finally dialed up their use of play action, which we've only been begging for like a year, and it paid off. He was extremely effective, and it, of course, made him more comfortable because he had more time in the pocket.
A year? I feel like we've doing it for 3 years for their use. I think the most important number for Tampa Bay is 7. And that's how many people should be blocking on a consistent basis. That's the play-action pass model that we saw yesterday. The reason is because it allows Tom space to operate. You got 5 offensive linemen, and then 2 backs are in there. Here's the play-action pass. Look at this pocket. I mean, now you have a guy that can still play really high-end football, be able to have the space and the time to throw the ball exactly and in any way where he wants to. 5 offensive linemen, tight end in the back. Now I have, again, 7 guys in protection. Tom's able to not only get those linebackers up, but then have the time to rip that ball to Godwin right behind him. Very same look, just flip the formation. 7 guys in protection. Guys, look at this pocket. I mean, this matters to Tom. The bottom line is this. When Tom Brady this year is utilized with play action and 7 guys in protection, he's a top 5 quarterback. This is a top 10 offense. When he doesn't and they don't, he's a bottom 10 quarterback and a bottom 10 offense. Sometimes, like, we're not curing cancer here. This isn't rocket science. This is not something that is, and that's my hesitation with Tampa Bay right now is I've begged for 3 years. Mina, this show has begged for 3 years to live in this world, and you haven't. So I'm not going to sit here and think that you're going to, but you for darn sure
Well, I mean, the results show that you should, right? I mean,
Absolutely. I thought they got to it a little bit in
the Super Bowl year.
run.
A little bit on the Super Bowl run.
Remember,
yes.
after they had a bye, that
Lenny went
next
off.
game, they started to really do it.
It's not that hard to figure it out.
All right, let's talk about the defense a little bit because we've been talking about this Seahawks offense all the time.
Yeah.
They were able to, this Bucs defense holds the Seahawks offense to just 16 points. What'd you like from that unit, Mark?
They stood up. First of all, it starts with Tampa Bay and stopping the run, and it affords them to then start adding dominant rushers from the second level and third level, which is Devin White, which is Levante David.
Speed,
You're afforded to do this because you can get the run taken care of. Y'all think about this. Kenneth Walker had 10 rushes for 17 yards against this Tampa defense. And one thing about it, like we can get enamored with offense and we can start talking it, and rightfully so. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers' identity was defense. That is something you can hang your hat on every single time out. And they finally it took them to go to damn Munich, okay? But they finally started getting it done. And it was an impressive performance because we talked about Geno. We talked about this Seattle run game, how well they've been blocking it up. They finally decided to just pull the hard hats back, stop the run, and then afforded themselves to be multiple defensively as opposed to playing from behind.
You know, you mentioned Devin White. He had 2 sacks in yesterday's win. That's the first time he's had at least 1 sack in a game since week 2.
1-28 and end that 5-game losing streak. How about that rushing attack for both the Bucs and the Packers? Each team had their most rushing attempts and yards in a game on Sunday and their highest percentage of offensive plays rushing this season. Rashad White and Aaron Jones, they each tally over 100 yards rushing. A.J. Dillon and Leonard Fournette each contribute over 50. And you heard Herm Edwards chiming in during that one. Listen, it's not easy. You got a couple Hall of Famers at quarterback, right? But to say that our best chance to win is to take the ball out of their hands. Why?
And when you think of both teams, they were actually, both head coaches decided to do that. Nothing on the quarterbacks. They're great quarterbacks, Hall of Fame quarterbacks. We know that. But to balance them up a little bit, and they had both been struggling. Look, Tom Brady, you have guys open, and you watch guys being wide open on both scenarios. Why? Because of the run game and the play action pass, and they put Aaron Rodgers under center, which is smart.
Yes, there's a reason they call it the quarterback's best friend, that running game, right? 62% of their plays designed runs. That's the most in Aaron Rodgers' career. But that's Matt LaFleur's offense. That's the offense he wants to call. Let's go to the coach on the other side, all right? And the decision to go for it on 4th down that we saw. And that certainly can be debated among many other reasons that Dallas lost that game. But what was your take on that decision?
Well, you know, everybody in America is a coach when you watch a football game.
Right.
And they'll say, you shouldn't have won.
I've been there.
I sat in that seat. But if you're thinking about Mike, he's coached Aaron Rodgers in that place. Won Super Bowl. He understands it's a tie game. It's overtime. Guess what? I am not punting the. You know what? We're going to have to make this 4th and 3 in a game and maybe a playoff game on the road. We're going to have to do this to win.
Yeah, but by the way, the offensive line didn't do their job on that play. They couldn't protect the quarterback on that play. Maybe that becomes something completely different if they're able to.
Yes, and the Dallas Cowboys have, they still have a good football team.
Yeah, they can't stop the run. They can't stop the run, Coach.
Yeah,
all right.
You better stop it.
Let's talk about another coach, shall we? And this was just a